Good evening. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. I am Alex from the West Ham Network. This TikTok Takeover. How are we all doing tonight? Now, first of all, straight off the bat, we are just going to cover the so-called elephant in the room, right? I'm going to quickly talk about what happened Saturday at halftime, and then we're going to leave it. And we're not going to talk about it again because it's not worth talking about. But I know it's going to be mentioned in the comments. It already has been mentioned in the comments by Randy, who has put quite a bit, and it makes a lot of sense. I get what you're saying there, Randy. I totally do. Right. So, look, was there a bust up at halftime? Yes. Is it a big deal? No. I think we've covered that then. Look, these things happen all the time. These things happen all the time, but most of the time you don't hear about it. You don't hear about it. But because we're West Ham United, and because Lopetegui's under a little bit of pressure, right? These things get leaked, and then certain accounts jump on it, make it out to be a lot worse than what it is, and it's all blown out of proportion. All right. Yeah. Kudus was unhappy with being subbed off, which is understandable. It's not the first time a player's been frustrated about being subbed off. I mean, you just have to have Mohamed Salah got subbed off last year in the game and got really annoyed with it. Yeah, because he was subbed off earlier. We've seen it countless times where players are not happy about being subbed off, right? That was part of it. There may have been some other things like him being played out of position, whatnot. But the important thing is, and this is the point I want everyone to take away, right? It's all been sorted. It's been resolved. They've cleared the air and they've moved on. And that's what we should do now as well. Move on. Hopefully they've had a little chat and they've aired their concerns and they've worked it out, and we're not going to hear about it again. And that's it as far as I am concerned. So yeah, look, we're going to move on from that now. Well, we're going to move on from that now because we can talk about many other things. We can talk about the Brentford game, of course. We'll get a draw. We're unbeaten away in the Premier League so far this season. Not unbeaten away. We may gloss over the Liverpool result at some point. We can talk about the game we have against Ipswich at the weekend. We need a home win. We need a home win, and I think this is a must-win game for West Ham, for Lopetegui. Right, we need to be winning this game. And so, yeah, there is plenty to talk about. But before we do, let's have a look in the comments and see who we've got. Start off at the bottom and move my way up. Stuart, evening. How are you doing? We'll say hello to Randy, who is, you would judge Lopetegui against Ipswich because if he does not win, feels like, well, we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about judging Lopetegui and all the things that are going on. But yeah, Randy, nice to see you there. Mrs. Smith, how are you doing tonight? Nice to see you in. Usual suspects, Celtic, yeah, 6-1 at the moment, isn't it? I think they're doing smashing. Oh no, they're getting smashed. Sorry, yeah. Is it a bad time that they just give up on the Champions League? I mean, they got all excited when they got that win last week, didn't they? Or the week before. And now they're getting absolutely schooled by Borussia Dortmund. 5-1 at half-time. Was it Adimoy or Adimoy, or I can't pronounce his name. Scored a hat trick in the first half. Who else we got? We got Howard. How are we doing? All right, so no, we're all in, and yeah, there is and we have YouTube user. It's always nice to see you, YouTube user. Nice to see you. Right. Anyway, look, we'll start. We'll start off. Let's just quickly go over that Liverpool result because I wasn't. Because it happened after that last Wednesday, so I had an opportunity to talk about it. Was it a disappointing result? Yeah, it was. Was it a much better performance than the performance we put in last season at Anfield in the Carabao Cup? Yeah, I totally think it was. I do think it was. So I do think that's a plus. I do. Can I just ask you guys, is the stream jumping at all? Because I don't know if that's a problem. But if you can let me know if there's anything wrong with the stream, because I've been having some problems with my internet. I thought I'd sorted it, but my computer keeps on freezing, so I don't know if that's actually happening. So if you can let me know if there is any issues, that would be great. It says a little. I might go and have a look at that in a minute. I may go and have a look at that. Why is it? Sitting on my Wi-Fi, which is a little bit concerned. Okay, bye. Well, give me a second, guys. I will be I will be right back. I just want to try something out to see if I can just clear things up. Have a have a have a look at Russ while I just sort this out. 2 seconds, guys. Of course, aren't we? Okay, I'm not sure what's going on there. We may have to do a little bit of a jumpy one. Uh, but yeah, no. Usually I have a wired connection on my thing. Where's me? Yeah, back on. Bad air later. Right. Anyway, we're gonna we'll get on. We'll get on. Yes. So uh, yeah, the Liverpool game. I did think it was a better performance. I did think it was a much better performance than what we had put in. I don't think 5-1 reflected the performance that we put in, and I thought there were some positives in that game despite the heavy loss, which I do think was heavily influenced by Alvarez's second yellow card, because after that we did kind of fold a little bit, which wasn't good to see. So we're at the Carabao Cup now, and it was a poor result, but definitely not the same performance as the 5-1 loss last year for me. Definitely not. Then we go to Brentford, and again, there were. I'd say it's a questionable lineup. Now, this may have led to what happened at half time. Apparently, the lineup originally did include Somerville on that left hand side, Antonio on the bench, which would have meant that Kudus would have been playing on the right. But a last minute change was made, and Antonio was brought in, Somerville was benched. And so Kudus moved over to that left. So that may have had something to take into consideration when you talk about what happened at half time. He may not have been happy with playing on that left. Now, I've always said about Kudus, I don't think we don't get the best out of him on that left hand side. I think that he prefers playing on that right, and I do remember him having an interview saying he likes to play in that number 10 role right through the middle, and that's where he tends to play for Ghana as well. So it's probably his preferred position. So I wouldn't mind seeing him given a go there. I definitely wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, that was the starting lineup, and I thought the first half performance was poor. I mean, obviously we conceded within the first 40 seconds, and that was just a massive lapse of concentration. But after that, I thought we looked very solid defensively. Todibo came in and I thought put in an excellent performance, and that partnership he's building with Kilman, I think it looks really solid. So that is really positive for me. That we have got that centre back partnership, but they need to be on it from the very first minute, and we weren't on it from the very first minute in that game against Brentford. We had the back line and we expected Emerson on the left, Wan-Bissaka on the right, of course. Soucek was in there, Rodriguez was in there. And yeah, I mean, we just looked very toothless going forward for me, very toothless indeed. And it was a bit of a frustrating watch. And then those changes were made at half time, which I do think we were all a little bit confused about. I definitely was. I was a little bit annoyed. Like, why did he take Kudus off? Why did he take Emerson off? They were not the two players that I thought um, deserved to go off. I definitely didn't. And he changed the system slightly. Brought Mavropanos on, brought Soler on. Moved Wan-Bissaka over to the left. Mavropanos was playing right back. Paquetá was playing more kind of on that left hand side, with Solar in the middle, still Bowen on the right, and Antonio on top. And we did actually look better, especially in the beginning of that second half. We looked more balanced as a team, and Lopetegui said after the game that he said in the second half we looked like we worked as a team a lot better, and I do agree with that. I thought that we were working as a team a lot better in that second half, and obviously it did lead to our equaliser. The ball fell after some good work by Paquetá. It must be said, didn't have one of his best games, but we did see glimpses, and he was an influential part in getting in helping us get that equaliser. Soucek just pops up at the right time. He's in the right place at the right time. He's got a real knack of doing that. Look, I criticise Thomas Soucek. I do. I don't think he does enough in the middle. I'd never criticise his goal contributions or his defensive work in either box, right? I do not criticise that. It's what he does in the middle. But saying that, I thought he was very, very good. Very good on Saturday in the middle. He was getting on the ball a hell of a lot more. He was creating chances. He was making progressive passings, which is very positive for me. So I'd love to see more performances like that from Tosek, and he would. And then yeah, he proved a lot of people wrong by getting that equaliser. And then it was a little bit of a frustrating finish to the game for me. And I found myself a little bit concerned, a little bit worried here and there, a little bit nervy, because they were attacking a lot, but they weren't really creating any chances because we were very, very good defensively, but we didn't have a huge amount of chances ourselves. So 1-0 at the end of the day, I don't think it was a bad result. A draw away from home, I never think is a poor result. It's definitely better than a loss. It's not as good as a win, definitely isn't. And Brentford, we've never picked up a point there before, so that is also a positive. And yes, we haven't lost away from home so far, and you can criticise that, and you can say, well, you're just clutching at straws, because I know I've seen that comment, but you've got to take the positives where if we just continuously look at the negatives, then it gets very depressing. So I'm going to take this as a positive that we're proving hard to beat away from home in the Premier League this season. We are proving hard to beat. We are looking good defensively because the Crystal Palace game, I thought we looked very good defensively. The Fulham game didn't put in a great performance, but I thought we looked decent defensively. And again, it's against Brentford. I thought we looked good defensively. The rest of the game does need to improve, right? We're not getting the best out of Bowen and Paquetá and Kudus. Antonio keeps on starting, right? We're not getting the best out of these players. We need to figure out how to get the best out of these players because we do have a very, very exciting and talented attacking lineup, but they are not delivering at the moment, and we need to figure out why. Is it individual performances? Is it the setup? There's more going on than just one thing. I mean, you could look at stuff like Bowen didn't really have a break. Did he come back into the squad fully fit? after being away at the summer. I did play a lot, obviously, in the Euros, but he was still away, and we've seen other players who have kind of struggled with that a little bit. Paquetá was away as well, so maybe he's not 100%. He's got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, so maybe that's playing on his mind, impacting his performances a little bit. There's a lot of other things that could be going on, but it ultimately is down to the manager to try and make sure that these players do well. So far, we've seen little spurts here and there of some good stuff, but not enough of it. Like there still isn't a real idea of a plan, but I still think there has been positives from Lopetegui. Making changes in the game to change the system, to try something different when something's not working. It's not great that he's starting lineup is not working, his starting tactics are not working. But if he makes those changes in the game and it improves, then that is a positive. So that's one thing. There's one thing you never really saw from David Moyes either. All right. I mean, the stat that came out this weekend. So far this season, we made 30 substitutions, the most substitutions in the Premier League. And last season, we made 103 in the whole season. So one of our complaints was we're not making enough changes, we're not making them quick enough. Lopetegui's doing that. We may not agree with all these substitutions, and some of them may be very questionable, and he's anything but predictable. Anything but predictable. I mean, I think I've managed to predict the subs he would make once. Moyes, I used to get it right every single time. Every single time you saw two players or one player lining up to come on, you say, right, that player's coming off, that player's coming off. I'd get it right nearly every single time. Don't get it right a lot at the moment. He is unpredictable, which means he does try something new. He's experimenting. But yeah, we've got the game against Ipswich this weekend. And for me, it is a must-win. It is a must-win game. Right? We haven't won at home in the Premier League so far this season, and we need to be putting in a good performance, and we need to be picking up that win now. Historically, games like these are the ones that are very edgy. And I mean, I've been going West Ham United for 20 odd years, and very rarely do we see a team, a team that we're expected to beat come to whether it was Upton Park or the London Stadium, and we beat them convincingly. It does happen. It does. But the West Ham way is to make hard of these kind of games. So we may go that way, and it may go that way, but it's important to remember that, we made hard work of these games under Moyes. We made hard work of these games under Bilic, under Pellegrini, under Sam Allardyce. We used to make we make hard work of these games. Historically, going back throughout the years, we always tend to. So I wouldn't be surprised if that trend continues. But we can pick up the win, and I think that's more important. We just need to get that win. We just need to get that win. It would be great to see a great performance as well, but if we can pick up that win now, give the players some confidence, and then we go into this international break on a positive, on a high, and that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. So hopefully we do see something a little bit different, and hopefully some of the things that have been discussed between certain people who may have had disagreements at the weekend may result in some things changing. Some players playing in a slightly different position to try and get the best out of them. Possibly. So we're going to have to wait and see. But he still needs time. All right. It's not been the worst start to our season ever. All right. It's not been the greatest. 100% agree. But we have to understand that sometimes these things take time. And look, if it doesn't work after 10, 15 games, then we'll go, fine, it didn't work, but we got to give it a little bit more time. I've said I want to see 8 points from the 8 games that we've got coming up. All right, I want to see at least 8 points. So that was the Brentford game, then it's the Ipswich game, then it's the Tottenham game, then it's the Man United game, then it's the Forest game. It was about Newcastle away, Everton at home, and Arsenal at home. And I would like to see us pick up a minimum of 8 points out of these 8 games. At least 8 points. Now, if we pick up those 8 points and the performances are dreadful, that may not be enough for me to be convinced. But if we pick up that and we have been unlucky not to pick up more, then yeah, great. If we pick up more points than that, I'm going to give him a little bit more time. So I was saying minimum of 8 points, because there are some difficult games in there. Tottenham away, not an easy game. Man United, you just never know what you're going to get these days. You just don't. Newcastle away is not an easy game. Arsenal at home, yeah, we all know what happened last year, but there are some difficult games there. So yeah, I'm going to say like 8 points. And so far we picked up one. If we can pick up another 3 points against Ipswich, we're halfway there, and I think that'll be really positive. Anyway, let's have a look in the comments and see how everyone's doing. Right, first of all, Randy wanted to two possible lineups. So lineup one that Randy's put out for the Ipswich game: Ariola, AWB left back, Mavro Panos right back, Todibo, Kilman, Alvarez, Paquetá deep, Soda in a team just right, Somerville left, Bowen up front, right? Or the other one was Ariola, Wan-Bissaka right back, Emerson left back, Kilman, Toledo, Alvarez, Paquetá, Kudus 10, Bowen right, Somerville left, and Ings or Antonio. If Fulkrug is not available as an option, what do you think? Two is better. Can I put another one out there? Because I do like both of those. Obviously, I don't really want to see Antonio starting. I would love to see Fulkrug start because he just needs some game time, and we need to see how he does. But here's a crazy one. It's just a crazy one. You can hear me out. Right, back four. All right, back four. Emerson, Wan-Bissaka, Kilman, Todibo. Right, midfield. Alvarez, Paquetá, then I think it was the Alvarez, Paquetá, Sola. So we've got three there. With or Sojek, Sola or Sojek. Kudus in like a false nine in the middle, Bowen on the right, Somerville on the left. What do you think? Would you put Kudus a little bit more central? I mean, look, he can win the ball, he can hold up the ball, he can take on players. I mean, he could do that role of Antonio. Probably could do it a little bit better. It's just something that I thought of the other day. I just wondered. Do you put like Kudus like as a false nine? I was like, in up top. Do you reckon that could work? I think we need to get the difficult thing at the moment is trying to get all these players into the same side. Right, Kudus, Somerville, Bowen, Fulkrug, Sola, Paquetá, Sojek. Right, there's a lot of players there. They can't all fit into one team. But how do you do it? Now, if you have got Fulkrug available, you need to give him a chance. And I think a game against Ipswich at home will be a good opportunity for him. But if he's not, as a replacement for Antonio, maybe try Kudus there. Maybe. Gives him a more central role. He maybe has a little bit of freedom. And we may get a little bit more end product from him. Possibly. So yeah, I think that's another option. But I like both your options there, Randy. I do. Let's just have a quick look through the comments. You like the hat? Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a bad hair day at the weekend, and I put the hat on. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the hat. I'm gonna go with the hat. Hides the receding hairline a little bit. Not particularly playing good. It's on the left position. It's like putting diesel in an electric car. I like that. Yeah, it's not quite right putting Kudus on the left. I've always said this. I don't like playing Kudus on the left hand side. You do not get the better out of him. You don't. You really don't. I said I wouldn't mention it, but I do want to mention this one more time. Right, so Michael's made a good point here. Even what happens in the dressing room stays in the dressing room. This happens at every club. Main concern is always leaks. Yeah, that is my main concern as well. Now, I've made a video on TikTok talking about this, and I said I don't know who has leaked it or why they have leaked it, but they've either got an agenda or they just don't know how to keep their mouth shut, and they love a little bit of a gossip. And I know plenty of people like that. So people like that do exist in football clubs as well. Like people will hear a little bit of information, they're like, oh yeah, I want to go tell that to my mate, and then they tell it to someone else, and then it gets leaked. That is also a possibility. Regardless, if West Ham know who it is, they need to be sitting down with that person and telling them to keep their mouth shut, because totally right. Things like that shouldn't be leaked. What happens in the dressing room should stay in the dressing room. We do not need to know about it. We really don't, especially at the moment when there's a lot of pressure on the team, there's a lot of pressure on the manager. It just does not help. So it is disappointing that it was leaked, and hopefully we do address this issue. Hopefully we do. Uh, John, arguments happen all the time in the changing room. Glad she has to give a carrot and it's done and dusted and that drama. Yeah, I think it does show passion. I think it's a positive. I said this when it first happened. I do think it's a positive that that they're showing a little bit of passion and fight and they care. You want the players to care when they're not performing well, when they're not putting in a good performance, when they're behind. You want them to, and frustrations come from disappointment as well. Disappointment in team performances, disappointments in individual performances. I'm sure Kudus himself has not been particularly happy with his contribution so far. But he probably expected more from himself. He would have liked to see himself score a goal or two or get a couple of assists. So he's probably disappointed in his own contribution so far as well. So all these things lead to these things. You just want to see Lopetegui pick our best lineup that we know can beat Ipswich. As I said, no, our best lineup. If Rocky still does not know, then I feel he will never know, which is lie. I don't. I mean, the fact that you know straight away, well, we've got 3 ideas or 4 ideas. I mean, we probably can come up with. If you asked everyone in the chat to give you their starting lineup, I think at the moment, let's say you had 10 people, I think you'd probably get 2 or 3 people that would agree on one starting lineup. If we're not 100% sure on the starting lineup, on the best starting lineup, given what we have seen so far, means that there's we've got question marks over players that other people would pick in those positions as well. So if we've got questions, he may still be unsure if a player is best suited, even though we look at them and we go, yes, we want to see that player in. We do not know what's going on in training. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. That we don't. So he's still experimenting, and it would. I mean, look, the one time that I have not been disappointed with a starting lineup that Lopetegui has put out, we got beaten 3-0 by Chelsea at home. When he put out a lineup that I wanted to see, it didn't work. But he puts out lineups that I questioned for Crystal Palace, and we got the result there. The lineup against Fulham, we questioned, it didn't work. He made changes, and then we got the result. Again, at Brentford, wasn't overly pleased with it. Wasn't pleased with the substitutions at half-time either, but that ended up working. So I admit, I'm not a football manager. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. He knows a little bit more than I do. So I'm still trusting him at the moment. Got to give him a little bit more time. Definitely got a little bit more time. Colin, how you doing? No one just suggested that my sources told me Loppy angry at hard times just to say players not being less because yeah. We've covered this already, Colin. We've covered it already. It's done and dusted. They've sorted it out. We've moved on from that. Oh, there's a controversial take here from Oliver Stephen Redpath Smith. That's a mouthful of a name there, Oliver. For me, I don't think Kudus should start, which I know sounds crazy, but he is not our best right winger, nor our best left winger. And honestly, if Pack's at his best, he's not our best cam either. The thing is, though, Pack hasn't been at his best so far. And the thing is with Kudus, he has that ability to create something out of nothing. So even if he is having a bit of a poor game, I still would. I still think that he could do a job. I really do. Oh, 7-1. It wasn't, was it? Oh, that's got to be painful. It's got to be a painful. Barcelona won 5-0 against Young Boys. What was the Arsenal end result? Was it just 2-0? Yeah, it was 2-0, wasn't it? Yeah, 7-1. That's got to be. Yeah, Carabao Cup is fixed. Yeah, I totally agree there. Totally agree. Uh, Ralph, how you doing tonight? Put Kudus in the middle where he is happy and at his best. Yeah, I think Kudus in the middle would work. That's what I wanted to say for a while. It's one of the things I've just said a little bit earlier. Maybe play him in that like false nine position could work. Howard, how you doing? He needs time. He needs to build relationships with the team. The team need to believe in the tactics. Big sit down around the table. Have focus on 3 points, and we could all breathe easier. Yeah, and hopefully that is something. Look, I mean, Colin has mentioned that other players may have got involved at half time and back in Kudus. So maybe there has been clear the air talks this week. Maybe a communication barrier, different of opinions, different styles, different training methods. You know, these things all take time to adjust to. So if some players are struggling with the adjustment after being very used to doing the same things over the last 3 years under David Moyes and pretty much the same backroom staff. New backroom staff comes in, they have different training methods, they have different ways of doing things. It's going to take some time to adjust. So you are going to have some frustrated figures, but you hope that they sort these things out. That's what you was hoping. Hopefully that's what's going on. That is a very, very good point there, Howard. And I made a video on this. Moyes never said in his tenure, I got it wrong today. I respect that. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I do like about Lopetegui. He does admit when he's wrong. And he says, I can learn from my mistakes. And I want to see him learn from his mistakes. Unfortunately, he does seem to not make the same mistakes twice, but keeps on making new mistakes. He's got to run out of mistakes to make eventually, I hope. But no, it's not terrible. Not terrible. Randy, how you doing? I don't want to be in a situation where if we don't beat Ipswich, then talks for Lopetegui head will then be justified. He has to prove us to pick the team and positive results. Simple. Look, I still don't think if we lose the game against Ipswich, it's going to be a blow. But I'm still going to give him that little bit of time because I've said from the very beginning I'm going to give him 15 games. I'm going to give him 15 games. Now, if we go up against Ipswich and we look shocking and we get completely outplayed by Ipswich, I'm not going to be happy. And yeah, I will air my frustrations about it, but it'll be another learning curve. We've got to say, look, it's not going to be good if we put in a poor performance, but we haven't yet. We could put in a great performance and we could win the game 4-0. But we've also got to keep in mind, like Ipswich, good team. I watched them against Aston Villa at the weekend, and they caused Aston Villa a lot of problems. A lot of problems. If they come away from that game with a win, I think it would have been fully deserved. So Ipswich are a decent team. They haven't lost in four Premier League games now. I think they've drawn the last 4. They haven't won any games yet. But they know to pick up some results. And I've watched them a few times. They are a decent side, and they have that togetherness as well, which is something that does concern me because I'm not sure that we have that same togetherness on the pitch at the moment. Working for each other, and as you say, working as a team. I don't think we've seen that. So, look, they are going to cause us problems. They're an okay team. They work hard, but given the players we've got, we should still be coming away from this game with a win. But I don't want anyone to kind of sit there and think that it's going to be a complete walkover because there's no game where in the Premier League where we should be looking at and think that's going to be a complete walkover. I don't think there is this season, but we should be picking up the win. We should be. So you say 8 points, low bar Olympics. I said at least 8 points. At least 8 points. All right. So look, we get a point. We've got a point against Brentford. We get the win against Ipswich. That's 4 points. And then after the international break, we've got Tottenham away. That's a very difficult game. But there'll be a lot of people not expecting us to pick up a win there, not for us to pick up anything. I will say I know we can pick up something in that game, and hopefully we can. Hopefully we pick up at least a point. I've said that I want to see us pick up at least 1 point between the games between Tottenham and Man United. Given the way Man United are playing at the moment, I would hope that we can get a win there. Right. So look, if we do that and we pick up 4 points in those 2 games as well, that's 8. That's 8 points, and we're unbeaten in 4. Brilliant. But how can we go unbeaten in 4 games sometimes. Like it doesn't always happen. So the there could be a loss in it if we only pick up 1 point. Then we've got Everton at home. I think we should be winning that. We've got Newcastle away, which is a very difficult game against a decent Newcastle side. And then we got Arsenal at home, who are in incredible form at the moment. So as I say, at least 8 points. And when I say at least, I say I want to see performances alongside that. I say if we pick up 8 points, and I've been disappointed that we didn't pick up more points in the game because I thought we'd done really, really well, then I'll go, right, I've seen some improvement and things are looking up. But if we pick up 8 points and, it's been very lucky, been very fluky, and the performance has been driving me mad, then I'm not going to be happy with 8 points. So, it does come with some conditions, that kind of 8 points. But at least 8 points has got to be about. If we pick up any less than that, then yes, serious questions would, for me, have to start being asked of Lopetegui, because as much as he does need time, how much time should he be allowed? That's the question for me. Colin, you've been supported for 58 years of this great club. I'm not confident of winning against it, which is normally would be. Aston Villa struggled against them. Every single time I'm confident about a win. West Ham United, with this damn history, don't we, of struggling against certain teams, but then putting in fantastic performances against others. And like Ipswich just screams out to me a game where historically we were struggling. But if we could put in a similar performance like when we beat Luton last season, that'd be great. Sheffield United put in a great performance against them. Got the solid performance, solid win against them at home last season. Wasn't great against Burnley. We drew 2-2 in that game, didn't we? That was a poor performance in the first half. So I want to see a better performance. I want to see the right starting lineup. I want to see tactics that are working from the beginning. I don't want to be going into the second half wondering what we need to change to improve our performance, because we've seen a dire performance in the first half. We want to start seeing some things working from the beginning of the game, and hopefully we do start seeing them work this week. I agreed. Lineup. Most fans are calling for Kudus in a 10. Yep, totally agree with that. Hammers Mikey, Loppy, biggest fraud in football. You don't become a professional manager if you're bad. You don't get the Spain job, the Porto job, the Seville job, the Real Madrid job. You don't get those jobs if you're a bad manager. Now, obviously, it didn't work out at Real Madrid. A lot of people are like looking at that and saying, well, you couldn't handle it. The Real Madrid is the hardest job in the world to manage, right? You've seen so many managers who have really struggled there. Lopetegui has been one of them. It's a very unique job. Like, there's usually a lot of very big names there, and it didn't work out for Lopetegui. But he did all right at Seville. He did all right for Spain. Look, I've heard my concerns about Lopetegui. Those concerns are still there, and his history is definitely one of them. So I do keep that in mind. But I still also keep in mind that you don't get offered these jobs if you are a bad manager. You don't. You can do Kudus as a striker as well. You need the best defence, will, enough creativity, and plenty of attackers to get the amount of right blend and balance. Let's say on the right foot. Yeah, I mean the midfield for me is where a lot of games get won and lost these days. The midfield, and so far our midfield has lacked a little bit of pace and lacked a little bit of creativity. And it's that transition from defence to attack. Not enough chasing players. A lot of times we go forward and we haven't got enough players pushing forward to support these players who are going on the counter as well. So there's a lot of problems in that midfield. But yeah, we definitely need the right balance. And I think most people totally agree on defence, mostly agree on the front three. The midfield, there's a lot of options there, and I think there's a lot of disagreement. I want to say disagreements. There's a lot of conversations had about if you had to pick 3 midfielders, which 3 you would go with. I definitely think, because you've still got a lot of people who not really Keen Paquetá. Um, we did play Paquetá as a false nine last season in second half games, and yeah, we can do that. You can do that. You definitely can, but I never thought it really worked for me. But it is an option. It is an option. Was on £14 return or £1 bet for a hat trick. Bloody manager pulls the player on two. Oh, sorry, JP. That's why I don't gamble anymore. Things like that happen. Uh, oh, we've got another one. Jerry, your Ipswich lineup, Ariola. Uh, is that Mav? Is that supposed to be Mav? Mav at right back. Todibo, Mav at left. Mav at right back to Peter Kilman and Aaron Mabsaka at left back. Do you know what though? I thought Aaron Mabsaka looked really bright against Brentford at left back, especially going forward. Some of the best performances I've seen from him this season is when he's playing as like a left back or a left wing back. So I think it's a position he kind of likes. I do, and I'm not against seeing him play there. I'm not, but yeah, it does concern me who plays at right back. And Mavropanos has given us that option. He has given us an option because I thought he looked really solid. Really solid against Brentford, really did. Anyway, moving into the midfield, you've gone Bowen, Alvarez, Sola, Kudus, Paquetá, Somerville. Packers the false nine, Bowen on the right side of midfield. So is that Alvarez and Sola, like a double pivot? Bowen through the middle? Or Bowen on the right? Or Kudus on the right? Somerville on the left? Where would you be playing Bowen? Is Bowen the 10? Is that your option? Bowen as a 10? I haven't heard that. I'm not sure if Bowen could work in a 10 personally. You've got someone playing in a false nine. He could kind of share that role, I guess. Possibly. Did Kudus come out for a second? I do believe so. I believe he got seen kicking things in a little bit of anger or something like that. But yeah, I do believe he came out in the second half. He's been in training. They've sorted out. How can they care when it was 70 grand a week guaranteed for 3 or 4 years? Well, you hope it's they don't go into football if they don't care about playing football and they don't care about winning. You know, if you're natural, I mean, there is bound to be some people here, but you know, it's not the easiest thing to get into, is it? You know, football. Majority of lads growing up, right, and girls now, right, dream of being a professional footballer when they're young, and you see so many that they go into the academies. And very few make it. Very few make it as professional footballers. And you have to work very, very hard. So you've got to care about what you're after. You've got to deeply, passionately care about it to work that hard at it. So the care is there. Yeah, they're getting paid a lot of money. But I don't think that passion and that fight and that desire ever really goes away unless you are just kind of fed up with it. But then if you are fed up with it and your performances do drop, then your career can stall, you know? It can stall. Because if you don't put in great performances, yeah, you've got a guaranteed 70k a week for 3 or 4 years. But at the end of that, they won't offer you a new contract if you're not showing that you care, you're not showing fight and passion. And if you're not showing that, you probably won't be playing a lot. And if you're not playing a lot, you probably will find it hard to find another club. How many times do you see a player, you know, go out on a free? I mean, still think there's a lot of players out on a free at the moment that can't pick up clubs that you would look at and you think, God, I'm surprised someone hasn't snapped that person up. I know there was at the end of the transfer window, so maybe it's their attitude, you know. So no, I believe that they still care. I don't think the 70k because they're fighting passion to get where they are in the first place, and it doesn't disappear overnight. Colin, your team: Ariola, AWB, Kilman, Tobido, Emerson, Paquetá, Alvarez, Sola, Somerville, left wing, Kudus because he has played as striker, Bowen, right wing, 1-4-3-3. I don't mind that. I think a lot of us do want to, you know, I think we all agree that we want to see Somerville on that left. We all agree that we want to see Kudus either on the right or through the centre. Bowen's definitely got to be in there. And that midfield, yeah, I like the idea of Paquetá and Sola. I think that's something that would really work. But we also have to keep in mind that Souček has just scored again, and he did put in a good performance. So don't be surprised if he's in that starting lineup and it's who you're going to sacrifice there, and it's probably going to be Sola, I would imagine. Probably going to be Sola that won't get the start over Souček at the moment. And given his performance last week, I'm not upset at that, but I would like to see that partnership with Paquetá and Carlos Sola grow a little bit more. I definitely would. All you're saying is I don't want to see the right tactics and the best 11 put out there. Then I think if I just want Lopetegui to see it, I don't want him to fail. I don't want him to fail. I don't think anyone wants. Well, actually, no. There are some people that do want him to fail. You see him every single day, don't you? But I don't want Lopetegui to fail either. Right? And I think there's many people, including in this chat, that do not want to see Lopetegui fail, but they know it is a possibility. And I understand that there is a possibility that he may fail, but hopefully he doesn't. And I don't want him to, and I want him to get it right. Lingard didn't care. Yes, this is an example. Lingard didn't care. He chose to play for that Robin Hood team for no more money than win the European Cup. Yeah. I mean, look, you've got examples, right? Look at Lingard's career, right? Really talented footballer, but because all he cared about was the money, he ended up staying at Man United and not playing any games. Didn't want to come to West Ham because we weren't offering him what he wanted, basically. Went to Nottingham Forest, spent the season there, barely played. Now he's in what South Africa or wherever he is, you know? And I don't know how much he plays over there, not really been keeping track of his career, but that's like Lingard is a perfect example of what happens when a player does not care. So there's many players who don't want to be ending up like Jesse Lingard. So if they didn't care, if players didn't care, look, you look at Man City, how much are those players paid? They care. Players care. They do. Randy again. I suspect Lopetegui does try and fix his mistakes with the set previously. It won't be sustainable in the long term because he'd rather get everything spot on to keep everything changing. Yeah, I'd like us to get everything right and we learn from our mistakes. We don't keep on making the same mistakes. Social media, everything gets blown. Do you think Alex would have been a legend? So Alex would have been a legend around to the Man United job. We had that. Well, I mean, look, social media. I can see it. I can see it. Like, I benefit from social media. But I think social media is a detriment to fan bases these days. Too many people are allowed to put out their controversial opinions, rile people up, change words that have been said in press conferences for their own gain to push their own agendas and things like that. Social media has made things among football fan bases a hell of a lot more toxic than they probably have been before. Yeah, people have not been happy about lineups and about managers and tactics and things like that. But it's just in your face so much now. And, you know, when I come on here and I talk about this, I am fully aware they're going to have people that are just going to disagree with me. And it's been happening in this chat. People will disagree with me. You just kind of got to take it on the chin, haven't you? But yeah, social media for me is has not been good for society as a whole, I would say. Even though there are benefits and people do benefit from it, like me. But I don't think it's great. It does kind of make things a little bit more toxic. If I'm going to be watching the youngsters tomorrow, oh, they're playing tomorrow, the youngsters. Colin, Alex Loppy made a promise to Kudus in pre-season. That's why Kudus was happy. I believe he has broken. Don't know how he was going to play Kudus. Maybe yes. I do think at the beginning it was probably a necessity. So I don't know. Look, hopefully they've had a chat. They've sorted it out. It's all in the dust now. We move on, and they've cleared the air, and maybe we will see Kudus playing in a number 10 role on Saturday. today. No, maybe that'll happen. Keep Liam Delap quiet. We have a chance. Yeah, I mean, he looked good. He looked good against Villa. He does look good. But we got a couple of pacey, a couple of pacey centre backs now, don't we? You know, in both Kilman and Todibo. And one thing I noticed about them, like they're always covering each other. You know, if if one was going forward, the other one was making sure that they'd covered their position and made sure they had their backs, and I think that's good. I never saw that a huge amount last season, so it's good to see them getting along, and apparently they do get along. You know, Todibo has come out and said some nice things about working with Kilman, and so yeah, we've got to keep the ends of that quiet, and hopefully they will, and hopefully Alvarez has had a decent rest as well, because obviously he couldn't play at the weekend, and you know had an early finish against Liverpool, and yeah, he's hopefully built up a little bit more fitness, because I don't think he's been 100% recently either. If he fails to beat Ipswich at home, not away, those teams down the bottom can be tricky. Yeah, they can be tricky, but we should. I still say it. We should be winning the game on Saturday against Ipswich. We should be. We should be. Do you practice at being negative, or does it just come naturally to you? I'm just wondering. Michael, how you doing? You would have a midfield of Salah, Alvarez, Kudus. Maybe controversial. That means that's playing Kudus in the 10. So what? No Paquetá? No Paquetá? I mean, yeah, you can say that would be controversial. Possibly. Yeah, must win. Totally agree. What's with all the caps, Colin? What do you think of this team? Aviola, AWB, Kilman, Tobido, Emerson, Somerville, left wing, Paquetá, Alvarez, Kudus, Guilherme, and Bowen up front. Yeah, you lost me at Guilherme. I think he is someone for the future, but I've not seen anywhere close to enough of him to know if he is any good. I at the moment, or if he's even ready for the Premier League. I would love to see him given a chance, but then there's other youngsters that I would love to see given a chance as well. We are Alford, and I think it'll be an interesting thing to see how he does in this team. It would have been good to see like Freddie Potts and Earthy, but obviously they're out on loan, and hopefully they have good seasons out on loan. I think Earthy's come back from injury now, so he'll be playing a few more games, and I think that where is Potts? Peterborough, I think, or something like that. I can't remember exactly where he is. Is it Peterborough? I don't know, but he's doing well there at the moment, which is good to see. But yeah, I'd like to see Guilherme given a chance. I think he's started playing a little bit more for the under-21s, isn't he? The draw looks good against Revenue. Beaten by tractor driving turn up. I love that. I like it. Someone else is reading too much into everything. Right. Let's try and catch up on these comments because it's got a bit mad. Right. So no, let's get our predictions in. Like, here's one for you all. Here's one for you. I have said that I wanted to see 8 points, at least 8 points, from our next cycle, which takes us up to 15 games, right? So that includes, obviously we've got 1 point already against Brentford. We've got Ipswich at home, Tottenham away, Man United at home, Nottingham Forest away, Everton at home, Newcastle away, Arsenal at home. For you to, if you're on the fence about Lopetegui at the moment, how many points do you want to see us pick up in those 8 games when we get to 15 games for you to be right? I'm going to give him a little bit more time. I'm happy. How many points do you think? Would you like to see us pick up? We've already picked up one. So for the next 7 games, let's say, next 7 games, how many points do you want to see us pick I want to see it pick up at least 7 points, at least 7 points, but there has to be performances going with that as well. So, let me know in the comments how many points. You want to see at least 12 points, Stuart? Okay, 12 points. So that means getting that's at least 3 wins and 3 draws and 2 losses, which is perfectly possible. Perfectly possible. Or it's 4 wins and 3 losses. Yeah, again, possible. We can get a win against Ipswich. We can get maybe a win against Tottenham, win against Man United, win against Everton. That's 4 wins there. Yeah. Alex, do you like the cap? Thank you. Just started to settle team structure, not chopping and changing. Yeah, I mean, I think we are seeing a little bit more of a settled team now. Well, we are. So you want to see at least 12 or 14. If we get 12 to 14 points, YouTube user, will you get off his back? Will you get off his back if we pick up 12 to 14 points in our next, our next, which, are you including the Brentford game or you want to see out the next 7? 12 to 14 points. I mean, I think 14 is pushing it. 12, I think is doable. I think it's doable, but who's the ref? For which one? We're going to have some dodgy refs here and there. We are. The Spurs game could be a sign of the players don't fight and the knives goes. Yeah, do you know what? That is a really good point. If we don't, I mean, look, I've seen West Ham performances against Tottenham in the past where we haven't really put in much of a fight. I've been to a couple of games there actually where we've lost and we haven't really put much in a fight. So that's happened before, but you really hope that we put in a fight, a proper fight. It's a lunchtime. I think it's a lunchtime kickoff though, isn't it? Which is a little bit concerning because I don't really like lunchtime kickoffs. So away from home, but early kickoff. I mean, there's always a possibility. You want to see some fight, don't you? You would be happy with 12 points, 1.5 points per game. 7 to 8 points, I think, is fair considering the opposition we're playing. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've taken into consideration. I mean, I'm not, I think the really difficult ones are Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, Tottenham away. But you can even say that Forest away is not going to be a particularly easy. I think they've had a decent start to the season as well. They look decent. They look okay. So there's no easy games in the Premier. No, we shouldn't be losing to teams like Ipswich at home. You're totally right. We should not be. We should not be. But if we lose against Ipswich and then after the international break we sort things out and we get a win against Tottenham, we get a win against Man United, we get a win against Forest, things can quickly change. That's what I'm still saying, like 15 games, even if we don't get the result. But it'll be very depressing going into the international break if we lose to because there's just so many. What I find really frustrating at the moment, there's just so many people just dying and itching to say I told you so. To say I told you so. And the annoying thing for me is like they think they've got a point. They don't, because they don't understand it. They say you never should have got rid of Moyes. Like if Lopetegui doesn't work out, the mistake was never getting rid of David Moyes. The mistake was replacing Lopetegui to replace him. That is what I've always said. But we're there. Howard, minimum 10 points and some good solid performances and goals. Yeah, fair enough. I doubt we will get 8 points. Can't see Ipswich beating us with Moyes 2.0. I need to do. I think I need to do a video where I point out a lot of the differences between Lopetegui and Moyes, because there are a lot of differences between Lopetegui and Moyes. A lot of people are saying, "Well, he's just a Spanish Moyes." He's not. He's really not. Look, is he getting the best out of the players at the moment? No. Is he playing very defensive football? Not really. No. We tend to have a lot more possession, so we're playing a more possession based game. We're still not fantastic with that possession, but we are playing a more possession based game. He likes to make substitutions early, and he will change the game. He's always looking for a way to change things up and do something a little bit different. Moyes, same. If a lineup was this is what I said about the Fulham game. The Fulham game when we made two changes at half time. This was just like the big thing. Like Moyes never would have changed that side. He would have kept with it. That it would have been his starting line. We go right. I'm determined this is going to work, and he would have kept that starting line up until like the 70th or 80th minute, and then put on changes, and then really started to go for it in the last 10 minutes. We don't see that. It's a little bit different. Like there's progressive changes there. You got Lopetegui himself. He's a little bit more open. He's a little bit more honest. He's willing to admit when he's made a mistake. So there are differences. There are differences. So I don't understand this comparison like to Moyes. I don't really at all. Don't really at all. As you reckon, Ipswich win, Spurs loss, Man U win, Forest draw, Everton win, Newcastle lose. So that's 3, 6, 9, 10. 10 points. Which I think will be decent. Like if that happened, I wouldn't be overly disappointed with that. You know, we get home wins against Ipswich, Man United, and Everton. Get a draw against Forest away. I'll be annoyed if we lose against Spurs. I would hope that we can at least try and pick up a point. And yeah, it'd be nice to get something away to Newcastle and at home to Arsenal. We definitely got to learn our lessons from last season. So yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed if that's the way it ended up. We've got 10 points. I'd swap the Spurs and Spurs. Yeah, I still want to win. I always want to hope against Spurs. Colin, you say 3 points Ipswich, Spurs 1 point, Man U 3 points, thinks they're beatable. Forest 3 points. Oh, that's 10 points there. And then you've still got the Everton game to pick up even more. Yeah, we could pick up those points. Randy, performances and tactics combined with the style of play have to improve as well along the way to justify at least my patience for into 10, 15 games. Yeah, no, performances and results do. And the style of play. We want to come away from a game like saying, right, I understand what we were really trying to do for a lot of that game. You know, the way that we were trying to play. It's been too many games this season where I've been very confused about what we were trying. You know, there was not enough. I want to see more energy. I want to see more fight as well. I think we saw some of that in the second half against Brentford, more than we saw in the first half. So there has been some positives. They don't outweigh the negatives at the moment. They don't at the moment, but hopefully after the Ipswich game, they will, and we'll start looking forward. And then after the international break, we pick up some more points and better results and better performances as well. Anyone who cannot see the difference between Moyes and J.Lo are Blinker, I totally agree there. But there is a huge difference between the two. Huge difference. Oh, Anthony. Oh, no, it's not Anthony Taylor, is it? Oh, God. Yeah. Evening, Ray. Thank you very much for that great news there. Leif Davis, he's decent. He's another player. But what, him against. So on the left hand side, him against Wan-Bissaka? Or maybe Mavropanos. It could be Mavropanos there. It'll probably be Wan-Bissaka. You're not a told you so. I desperately want Moyes gone. I never want him back, but obviously an important choice should never have been appointed. So look, you wanted Moyes gone, you wanted someone else in. You didn't want Lopetegui. Fair enough. Okay. Now I wasn't overly keen on Lopetegui, but I'm going to give him a chance because he could prove me wrong. I never wanted Moyes originally, and I think even the most hardcore ones against Moyes are not disappointed with the European football and the trophy that he delivered while he was here. So, I mean, he proved me wrong. It didn't end brilliantly with Moyes, but I'm still going to give Lopetegui a chance. Like, we've moved on from Moyes. We will never get. There was always a chance that we wouldn't get the appointment right first time, but we've got Just give him a chance. Give him a chance. Lopetegui has shown everyone that there was a gradual process in all departments. For me, there is still Slade giving him a fair amount of time, turn it around, but he must learn. Yeah, totally agree there, Randy. Totally agree. Moyes used to hold players back from playing for months. Why are we not giving Loppy time to gel? We should be. We should do. I think there's also an element there where these players are so hardwired to play a certain way that it's just a little bit of an adjustment. When they put on that West Ham shirt and they go out on the pitch, they've been very used to playing a certain way. And it's going to take a little bit of time to break that down occasionally, possibly. So I don't know. I'm still giving them a little bit more time, but hopefully things do start to jump quickly. Trinity happy. Ipswich win, Spurs lost, Man U lost, Everton win, Forest win, Arsenal, Newcastle draw. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what 3, 6, 9. That's 10. That's 10 points as well. 10 points as well. I think we can get a win against Man United. I mean, you don't know. They're so unpredictable at the moment, Man United. We cannot compare anyone to Moyes. He has a whole different kettle of fish. Few similarities noted, but at least the bloke makes subs that are decent. How are grasping the straws here? He is different. He is different. Like, there's always there is similarities between every manager, but yeah, I mean, just the substitutions and the willingness to change things up. I think is a breath of fresh air because some of the time this season we have seen performances improve as he has decided to make some changes, and he's not afraid to make controversial changes either. I mean, we've seen him drop Bagatelle, we've seen him take Bone off early, Kudus off early. He's not afraid to make these changes, and he's not afraid to try something a little bit different. And Moyes always Moyes had a plan A, and then he had plan A1. Right, it was a slight adjustment to his plan A, and it was behind this glass, and he had a little hammer. It was break glass in emergency, and he used to hit it around, I don't know, 75-minute mark. As that was it for Moyes. It was always kind of the same way, but we don't see that. We're not seeing that from Lopetegui. He'll change things up. He'll keep trying to change things, and it's good. It's good. Right. Thank you very much for all the comments, guys. Really do appreciate it. Just seeing, I'm absolutely knackered, but thank you very much for all coming on all chatting. Really do appreciate it. I may be live on Thursday over on the West Ham Network Extra. That's where you can find me, over on the West Ham Network Extra, as you can see down the bottom. So make sure you're going over there and subscribing to that page. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on here as well. And if you want to see more daily updates from me, go follow me on TikTok, West Ham Fan 86. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. Hopefully next week we are having a little bit of chat about a fantastic win we got at home against Ipswich, and things can be a little bit more positive. And yeah, we can look forward to another international break after that. Yay! All fun. God, I love international breaks, don't we? Anyway, thank you very much for joining. Have a good night. See you later, and come on, you Irons.